Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake of
technology increased, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovesi, and look, we're coming at you live every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Mark your calendars. As usual, we're bringing you an amazing guest today, but we're bringing you amazing guests every single week. And if you want to see who's on the docket for the rest of this year, go to masterconnector.show. We've got a list of people, amazing people. Now listen, you're on your journey. No matter where you are in your journey, we're all at different stages in the process of achieving and creating the success we want in our lives. And so it's helpful to learn from people who've been there. You want to acquire different experiences, and that's what our guests are going to bring you. They're going to bring you their skills, their expertise, their stories, sometimes inspiring, a lot of times motivating, and giving you the confidence that if they can do it, you can do it. And look, speaking of if they can do it, you can do it. Steve, Spiro, and I, my co-host, we're friends. We go back 26 years. We're two former shy guys, two introverts, right? Who really didn't have much knowledge in the way of business. Although Steve did, he kind of beat me into business first. He had an ad agency, and he's quite accomplished in the martial arts as well. I was lagging way behind, not many skills at all. But look, we both wanted to be in business. We both came together under similar mentors in business for ourselves, and we're learning the ropes, overcoming shyness, overcoming introversion, overcoming the inability to be able to connect with people. And funny enough, here we are all this time later, and we're doing the Master Connector Show. We're all about creating connections, creating community. And if we can learn how to connect with people, so can you. So listen, again, go to masterconnector.show. See a lot of the guests that are coming up because you don't want to miss a single one. So bookmark your calendar every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time to catch us. And speaking of connector, we have the Master Connector. Help me bring him to the show, Mr. Steve Spiro, the Master Connector. What's up, Steve?
What's up, Rob G? How you doing there, sir?
Good.
Wow. Yeah, it is crazy. What a journey for both of us, right? Being shy guys and now the Master Connector, and you're amazing brand builder and a great connector as well. So it's just been a wild ride. So what's going on, friends? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct here. And today we're going to speak about some things. But before I do that, I just want to welcome you. If you're first time on the show, we are all about connections. So tell us where you're tuning in from, city, state, country. We also are big on connection. This is the Master Connector Show. So get in the comments, connect with each other. We don't know if you're watching the show, unlike LinkedIn has the audio, right, where you could see all the profiles of the people that are actually listening. We don't have that on the LinkedIn video. So get in the comments, tell us where you're from, connect with each other. It's a great way to connect and to participate and to make connections, right? And put your questions in the comments as well, because we want to engage with you. This is all about connection and growing. And some of the pillars of our show is being authentic, building community. And so you want to get in there and connect with each other. But today's topic is going to be amazing, and I just want to welcome Teresa on the show live from New Jersey. Great to have you on the show, Teresa. But today we're going to talk about lead and grow with confidence. And this is a great topic, I think very relevant for Rob and I think it's going to be very relevant for you. It's been a crazy journey. And as Rob alluded to, as an introvert, I was really struggling. I was struggling to just find who I was. I had mentors that basically I would look at them. I'm like, wow, these people are amazing. And I'm not. And I had very little confidence. I was always playing the comparison game, and I always would fail because everyone was always better than me. But I did continue to embrace self-development. And I started to craft my story. And what you're going to find is that's the most important thing you could ever do, in my opinion, is create a story. Your story. Your story is unique. It's different. and it becomes something is very engaging. And on, when I'm on stage, I love telling my story and speaking about it and telling stories in general. Storytelling is a great way to communicate, but in that story, was a lot of growth. And I never thought I would ever in a million years be a leader. But as I've grown and continue to grow, I've been able to take up that mantle and do it with confidence. And I think for me, authenticity, and that's a big part of my story, has allowed me to be confident. Because when you're vulnerable and you share your weaknesses, okay, who cares? Like I'm here. So like before I realized that I could be authentic and be vulnerable, I was protective. I was always like, hiding, who I was. And because of that, I lacked confidence. Right. But, it matters for sure. And preparation is key. As prepare to tell your story, whether it be on stage or just when you're doing connect calls, prepare. I heard the 5 or 6 P's, right? Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. There might be 7, I don't know, but make sure you prepare. I crafted my story, made sure things were relevant, as well as and left out things that weren't relevant, right? But things that would impact people. And to me, it's all about impact, right? But a big part of my story is the circle that I built, and we're going to speak about that today and who I surrounded myself with. And I heard who you are in life is based on 2 things: the books you read and the people you associate with. And so make sure you have a circle of people that stretch you, but also nurture that circle, right? Make sure you're putting, you don't want to just take, you also want to give, right? And make sure to build those meaningful connections as you build that circle, right? But ultimately, it's all about authenticity and preparation and connection. And that's what we're really going to talk about today on the show. So if you're ready to hear, and by the way, I want to just acknowledge Samuel's on here. Great to see you, Samuel. Carmen, who I had to connect with earlier today. And of course, the amazing Yolanda. Welcome. And as always, love having you on the show, Yolanda. Appreciate you big time. But yeah, so if you're ready for my man, Mr. Robbie G, to introduce our guest, just type in the hashtag let's go, and Robbie G.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Listen, we have got a great show for you today. We're talking about lead and grow with confidence. Confidence being the key. And I'll tell you personally, without confidence, I have not been able to achieve all the things I want to achieve. Without it, there's no way. And today we're going to talk exactly about that. So listen, Julie Riga is an ICF ACC certified leadership coach, speaker, trainer, and author with more than 20 years of experience in leadership development and team dynamics. She's the creator of Before I Lead, a program that empowers entrepreneurs and executives to embrace purpose-driven leadership, build high-functioning teams, and create lasting legacies. Julie is dedicated to helping individuals lead with clarity, grow with confidence, and thrive with purpose in both their personal and professional lives. Please welcome to the show, Julie Riga. What's up, Julie?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. I love the introduction. Thank you.
It's great to have you.
Awesome. It's great stuff. And it's great to have you back. We don't have that many people that we have come back on our show, but you are special because we invited you back. So
Thank you.
big burden that you got big thing to fill there, but anyway, we know you're here you'll step up to the cause here. So, but good stuff. We want to dive into this. And by the way, I want to acknowledge a few other people that they're all saying, let's go. So appreciate that. So confidence, let's talk about confidence, right? So community, type in hashtag confidence. And so here's the question for you, Julie. How does the story you tell yourself about yourself impact your ability to lead and grow with confidence?
Thank you. I love that statement. The story you tell yourself is the most important story you will ever tell. The story you tell about yourself to yourself is the most important story you will ever tell. And that story gets in the room before you do. That's really the truth of the matter. That story gets in the room before you do. And that story fuels the way you're going to show up. So if you show up saying, I can do this, I'm confident, I feel good, you're going to show that type of energy. But if you go in the room apprehensive and you play small and everything around you and surrounding you feels small, people are going to feel that energy. And so that energy gets in the room before you do, as you walk in the room, as you sit down. And so I think that if we can start telling ourselves a better story, we can be more confident, appear more confident, and actually by doing that, we are making people feel more comfortable.
Love that. That's great.
Yeah, when you talk about the story, Julie, and how important it is, with one thing you said, it fuels. What did you say? It fuels you before you get there, right? So
It enters the room before you do.
it enters the room before you do. Listen how powerful that is. One thing I had to do, and I love that you said that, is when I first started out, I still was very less shy than I was early on. And I mean, I was shy well into my 30s and early 40s. So not to be over dramatic, but I really found it hard to talk to people. But one thing I did was I did develop the story. It was truth. I told this story of how I got into business for myself, how I was doing what I was doing. That's how I would talk to people because I really couldn't have a normal conversation. I figured if I told this story about me when they asked what I did, then it would come across in a confident way. And then I would say, and so tell me about your journey. And then I would listen. I'd be like, okay, good, I'm done.
Love that. Yeah. It's so important to craft that story for sure. And a big part of that, I think, in my opinion, is preparation. So let's talk about preparation, Julie, in terms of that. So community, type in hashtag preparation. So why is it so important to learn and prepare before opportunities present themselves? So talk to us about that.
Yeah, that is one of the other things that I love to teach. Basically, the idea that if you're not ready, the opportunities will come and you will not want to say yes. And my whole purpose here is to help people be able to say yes to opportunities. I want everybody to say yes because they can do it. And so the preparation comes in you understanding what your stories are that you're going to be telling, understanding how you're going to show up, understanding what you're going to do in the moment of pressure, like getting to a place where you understand how you handle pressure and stress and how you're going to respond to it. On Monday nights, I do a group coaching program called Before I Speak, and we talk about all the things that could go wrong as you're getting up on stage, as you are presenting to even a smaller audience on Zoom or wherever you might be. It's that kind of preparing in advance, preparing the understanding that things can go wrong. It gives you a level of confidence that is unparalleled, because if you go in knowing, okay, all these things could potentially go wrong, but I know how to play in the moment, I know how to recover from these very stressful moments, that is going to give you the confidence that you need to get to that next level and to say yes to that next thing.
So Julie, we're talking about preparedness, being prepared, like Steve talked about the 7 Ps earlier. I think most everybody knows that they need to be prepared, or even sometimes in retrospect, wishing they were more prepared. Why, in your experience, why don't people prepare when they know they really shouldn't be winging it?
I think part of it is that they don't know what to prepare and they don't know the right questions to ask themselves. And when I say that, I mean, are you asking the question to yourself about the experience that you want people to have when they're with you? Do you
Mm.
want, how do you want the audience to receive you? How do you want to show up? What do you want them to take away from the time that you have? So it's really about asking yourself the right questions and having those kind of in what I like to call a story vault. There's this thing called the story vault, and those are your canned stories, the stories that you prepare before you are going to get on a stage or even do a presentation in a very small setting as well. And so whatever way you're doing something, having these things prepared in advance are going to give you a level of confidence that allows you to say yes. You may not have all the pieces, but at least you've done the work. You've asked the hard questions to yourself. And I think that's half the battle. It's half the battle to just get into the room and be able to pick up the mic. That's something that I always want people to do. Like if there's a microphone, you want to be able to grab the mic. And I help people get ready for those opportunities by doing a lot of fun things. We do a lot of fun things. We do a lot of improv because half the battle is be able to play in the moment and not take yourself so seriously.
It's funny because with the last guest last week, big part of the conversation was on improv. She's actually was a big part of Second City and improving, and so it's funny this is coming up again. And Rob and I had a conversation about this after the show on being able to roll with the punches on things, and it's so important. And I think being vulnerable and authentic and knowing that it's not going to go perfect and you may mess up a little bit, it's okay to really, screw up, and I think when you are vulnerable for your audience and they know that you're just kind of rolling with it, I think they fall in love with you, because if you're super prepared, overly prepared, I think it could be a tough thing for people. So I want to kind of tie this into authenticity a little bit. So community, type in hashtag authenticity. So how can being in environments that allow you to show up authentically transform your leadership and your growth? And of course you can, comment or in whatever way you see fit based on what I just said. You may agree or disagree, but yeah, I'd love to hear the authenticity piece of it.
Right. And the more time you spend being your authentic self, the more practice you get at it.
Yeah.
And so being around people in community is very important, especially for entrepreneurs, people that are doing this by themselves. When we were in our corporate jobs, most of us don't start out as entrepreneurs. From the people that I've met, it's like you've done a corporate job and then you go out on your own. When you're out on your own, it's like, okay, I'm all by myself now. You need to be connected to community and people that are doing the same thing as you, that are having the same challenges as you, being able to open up your network to people that you're going to be partnering with, to people that you're going to work in collaboration with. Maybe you're pulling them on a team that you're starting. And so being able to be in those communities is super important. Being able to just have a group of people where you can actually be yourself and practice the authenticity is so important, because authenticity is one of the highest frequencies we can have. And people know. I'm going to tell you that right now. I just went to PodFest in Orlando 2025. It's great time. But those people, you can like sniff them out. I tell people like, be careful, because from the stage, people can sniff you out. If you're not showing up authentic, if you have something to hide, your audience knows it. So let's clean up all that bad stuff around you and show up as authentic as you can, because that is the best way to connect with people.
And I want to say on the tail end of what you're talking about, Julie, and this is my personal experience, so I don't know if it holds true for everybody, but I did spend 25 plus years in corporate before I started my own business, and I had businesses on the side along the way, but that's different. And when I went full-time in business in 2019, I had spent a lot of years surrounding myself with support systems, communities, successful entrepreneurs. People were starting at people at all different places in the journey. So that by the time I went out on my own, I didn't need it as much, because it was kind of like, all right, now it's your time to fly, Rob. We've armed you. And I did go out on my own. And here's why this is critical in my experience. I had to leave the communities for a little while to find out who I really was, because I lost myself. See, I was so clueless. I lost myself in everybody's identity. Like Steve was talking about earlier, I used to play the comparison game. I lost myself and didn't have my own identity. And when I discovered what that was by going out on my own and putting myself out there and really starting to become more self-aware of how I want to show up in the rooms, like you were saying earlier, Julie, I found out my true authenticity, who I really am. and it changed everything for me. I developed an authentic brand because I didn't really have one prior to that. Now I show up as who I am, and I do know that when I'm going to show up somewhere and people are expecting me, they know what they're getting. They already know what's in store, and it's a positive thing because they know I'm the real deal in the fact that, not that I'm the real deal, I hate that really saying, but I'm really who I am. So when you see me here, when you see me on LinkedIn, when you read my posts, if you go anywhere or seen anything I've done, when you meet me in person, even if we're on a Zoom 1-on-1, what you see is what you get. And I think that's the best part of being authentic. Authentic is that fulfillment, right? You can be yourself, and it's so comfortable and build so much confidence, at least in my
You're
experience.
never
Yeah.
going to see Rob in a suit and tie. I just wonder, Rob. I just thought about this. What do you do at a black tie affair? Like, are you going? Are you going in jeans and sneakers and t-shirts, or what's the story
It's
there?
rough, man. It's rough. Weddings and funerals, you will find me in a suit, but outside of that, man, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to acknowledge a couple things, and we'll keep this rolling. But Nancy, welcome to the show. Nancy's on here; she's contributing. I appreciate you, Nancy, and Carmen is contributing. Corey also, Corey Berg, welcome to the show. We're glad you're on here. And I didn't acknowledge her, but Estelle, great to see you. She's been a guest on our show, and appreciate you being on here with us. But so, Julie, let's keep this rolling, right? I want to talk about mindset. So, community, type in hashtag mindset. How could you shift? And you talked about this earlier about the sort of inner narrative, right? How do you shift that inner narrative to help you overcome challenges and step into leadership with more confidence? Let's dig into that a little bit more. I know we touched on it before.
Yeah, it's all about the story. We challenge the story we tell ourselves.
Mhm.
So a lot of the times when I'm first working with somebody and I want to help them with mindset, we do a basic inventory, a mind a mind inventory. And so I want to know, well, tell me all the things that you're telling yourself right now. Let's make a list. And we make a list of all the things that they're telling themselves, and we really kind of examine them one by one. Is that serving you? Are these ways that you're talking to yourself serving you? Are you being kind enough to yourself? And I know this sounds like very basic. This is the basics of basics. And, a lot of people talk about mindset. But if the things that you're telling yourself are unkind, or if they're the things that you wouldn't be even sharing out to anybody else in the world, they're things that we need to fix and change. We need to start telling ourselves the better story. So a lot of times what I do is I ask them to make a superhero version of themselves. So what is the superhero version of yourself? And what does that superhero version say to themselves about themselves? And it's usually like, I am powerful. I am strong. I am confident. I can do this. I get to do this. It's all those good things that fuel us to have good energy. And so I keep talking about energy because there is a transference of energy that happens when we speak to people. And we're not talking about that enough. We are not talking about energy and energy shifts, but we do need to understand that the way we feel about ourselves is going to affect every single conversation.
I love that. That's so cool. I know I've shared this before, but I when I come on the show or when I do an appearance, I like to burst out, Steve Spiro, the master connector, coming at you live and direct, because I'm trying to bring energy, right? I have a tendency to be very low energy, just low key, and I want to bring energy and confidence, and so on purpose I do that. But I'm so in agreement with your idea of what you're saying to yourself, right? There was a great book. I know Rob and I both read it. I'm pretty sure you read it, Rob. What You Say to Yourself When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstedler, right? Great book
I only
on
read
the
it about
inner
3
dialogue.
times.
Okay, yeah, it's great. Great book. And I remember getting he had a CD set. I remember getting a CD set, and I love the idea that you said, Julie, about your superhero self, right? Because that is so important. And as I was kind of crafting who I wanted to be, um, you know, and the master connector was not, you know, who I initially thought of myself as, but I've kind of crafted that and have grown into that. And I kind of saw myself as something, and I'm like, okay, now I can kind of be that. And a lot of it was because the inner dialogue, and I convinced myself first internally, and then eventually also through what when I tell my story as well. So
And I just want to say to the audience, what Julie talked about and Steve backed up, I'm going to second this. What Julie's saying has so much power in it because I did this. I was the guy who was deathly afraid into my 40s, and I'm not overstating it. I really had a hard time talking to people because in my mind, like what Julie said, take a mind inventory. Initially, there was nothing in there. I was no thoughts whatsoever. But I knew that you were smarter than me. I knew you were richer than me. I knew you were stronger than everything. I knew that, and that was holding me back. And that fear of putting myself in situations where I had to talk, that fear of being able to talk to a person one-on-one, the fear of putting myself out there, thinking that I had the audacity to own a business. I had to develop that other personality, the alter ego of the guy who was fearless. Because I learned, well, I can act at least for a short period of time, and I had to act my way, and it wasn't fake it till you make it. I didn't show up inauthentically. I just went to a place in my mind beforehand, and I acted like the guy who overcame his fear and had no fear. And slowly it started to meld into the real me. And it honestly, it flat out worked, Julie. So what you said, like, just hits me right here. It's perfect.
great. Yeah, we're getting to the tail end of the show. I just want to acknowledge Ariel here. Thank you for coming on the show, Ariel, and great to have you on with us. But incredible stuff. We could go on and on. This is a great conversation. I think it's extremely relevant for everybody, especially for Rob and I. And so, if nothing more, me and Rob got a lot from this, but I know that the audience, the community has gotten a tremendous amount from it as well. So if I know, Julie, you have an offer to share with the audience. So if you could tell them a little bit about your, what you're offering. And then I know Rob will probably post a link for you here.
Absolutely. So I run a group coaching program called Before I Lead, and it is for business entrepreneurs or people who want to become entrepreneurs. And we work on Monday nights, we do signature talks, we do Mondays sales accountability, and we do time management accountability. We meet 3 times a week. And what I'm offering is a free trial, 2-week free trial of my program Before I Lead. You can go to julieriga.com, go under programs Before I Lead, or you can message me right here on LinkedIn and we'll get you signed up and send you some invites. But it is 3 times a week and you can come for 2 weeks for free.
That's awesome. That's great. And what's the best way? I mean, we really appreciate you being on here again. So obviously we got the link there. Go make sure you check that out for sure. But what's the best way? Is LinkedIn the best way for a community to reach you, or what do you recommend for them? And any last thoughts here before we close out?
Thanks. Yeah, so you can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm Julie Riga. You can also email me at julie@julieriga.com. And my final thought of the day is really challenge the story you're telling yourself about yourself. It truly is the most important story you will ever tell. And I want you to leave today really thinking about that and journaling about how you can tell yourself a better story.
Love it. Well, we really appreciate that. Thank you. And I will speak for the community and say we're going to do what you said and suggest. And so thank you again. We're going to put you in the green room, but thank you again for being here for us.
Thank you. Thanks.
Amazing. Sorry about that, Julie. Anyway, here we go. So yeah, we're coming to the close here. So next week, listen, tune in, same time, same channel. Episode 196, crazy, on the 29th. Don't believe everything you think. All right. It's going to be a great show. So make sure you're tuning in with Lauren Fisher. It's going to be incredible. So tune in here for sure. But I want to close it down with a quick story here. Right. And, we're not put the politics aside. I know we had the inauguration, left side, right side, Republican, Democrat, forget that. Okay. Michelle Obama, as first lady, initially doubted her ability to lead on a national stage. However, she told herself a new story. that her unique experience as a mother, lawyer, and advocate gave her the power to make a difference. You know, by staying authentic and focusing on her passion for education and health, she inspired millions, proving that leading with confidence comes from owning your narrative and sharing your true self. Folks, let's make sure that we own our own narrative, and as Julie suggested, and share our true self so we could truly, truly inspire others and ultimately shine our light. Look, appreciate you guys. God bless. See you next week.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives